I remind you to stir into flame the gift of God that you have through the imposition of my hands. How long, O Lord? I cry for help, but you do not listen. I cry out to you violence, but you do not intervene. And the apostles said to the Lord, increase our faith. There is passion in these readings. There is a deep desire of those who know God to be out of their minds in love and about God's work. There is a craziness in flame when you watch it consume something. A frantic need to keep going and going, and that which it sits upon goes away. When you watch in a war zone, when things are actually happening, it's like the world is disintegrating around you. Your vision can narrow because you're focused on a couple of things. And the implements of war disintegrate the territory and the terrain around you. And in the presence of Jesus Christ, the only thing the apostles want is more. Prior to this passage, Jesus Christ has told them to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive, no matter the cost. If the person wants forgiveness, you give it to them. And immediately following that, they say, increase our faith. This is crazy. But the one who tells us, urges us to comply, there's something in my soul that just wants to lean into it. The religious experience. They are in the presence of God. And they're getting it at that moment. The more open you are to Him, the more the Spirit surges within you, and the Spirit is symbolized in flame. The Spirit is also symbolized as dove. The Spirit is also symbolized as water. The Spirit is also symbolized in song and laughter. There is great joy in being gathered round a fire. There is great purpose in knowing that the power of God is not about obliteration, but salvation. Hence the prophet Habakkuk. Babylon is eating Israel. All is being lost is as if the beasts of Revelation have been let off their chains. And Habakkuk knows God can stop it. And he cries out to him, "Where are you? Help. Increase my faith." And God says, "I will." You write it down. My word will be fulfilled. Your enemies will be dust. My fire, my flame purifies you and reduces my enemies to ashes. That's Habakkuk's God. That's my God. That's your God. Do you cry out to the one who has changed everything through Jesus Christ, increase my faith? Do you want to be more than you are today, sitting in these pews? My brothers and sisters, I have been on pilgrimage. I have seen what men who have faith the size of mustard seeds have worked. And the legacy of that faith is preserved better than as if it had been inscribed on iron tablets. The incorruptible flesh of Jesus Christ, in one case preserved for 3 centuries in the host, in another case preserved 13 centuries in heart tissue. The world cannot explain, the world simply ignores. I've said Mass at the altar of saints. The most striking thing I think I saw there, at least off the top of my head, was the corporal claw, which catches the crumbs of Christ when the priest says the prayers of consecration. Pio's corporal was covered in blood because he could not stop bleeding as he said the Mass. His stigmata was so fierce. And through his intercession, even while he was alive, miracles would occur. People regained their sight. More miraculous, souls were restored to eternal life by his hearing of their confessions. Increase our faith. If you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could command trees to be uprooted and sit in the water of the oceans in violation of the laws of nature, and it would be so. You walk into St. Peter's Basilica and it just goes up. Statues of men like giants sit in alcoves that make them look as small as the ones to my left and my right. Faith. Faith built those monuments. Faith says, this is real. This we inscribe. This we pour and push into the terrain, and because it comes from God, it does not destroy, it creates and elevates. Is a priest ontologically different than anyone else? What's that big word mean? Does my soul look different? Through no effort or any deed of my own, changed by the will of God, who can do whatever he wants. In truth, I am just a servant. Who among you would say to your servant who has just come in from plowing or tending sheep in the field, come here immediately and take your place at table? Would he not rather say to him, prepare something for me to eat, put on your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink? You may eat and drink when I am finished. I got back Thursday. Friday I was burying people. There is no time to rest. There is only the work and the will of the one who loves me most. And I must be about my Father's business. he who has entrusted such fire and such flame to me and has given me such radical gifts as to see the works of faith. It is not back to the grind. It's about bringing forth his victory. The monuments that are in Rome were sown in the seeds of faith, imprisoned in the blood of the martyrs, scattered on Vatican Hill. And the faithful who died there live now in heaven, and they pester you. And you cry out in a world that needs faith. Do you desire to be about your Father's business? Is it all consuming? Is it transforming? Is it elevating? It'll cost you something. You might not have to bleed on a corporal, but sacrifice is always demanded. If you knew the value of your crosses, my brothers and sisters, you would ask for nothing else. The gospel, the readings, they're fire. Bring it into you. Let him reduce the enemy within to ash. Let him purify that which can be purified and turn it into purest gold. You have such great value. The Son of God gave his life. Don't let your faith grow cold. Stir up what's given you through baptism and confirmation. Beg God to stir up the gifts he gives his priests, because they're there. We're just not very good at using them. An unprofitable servant. Nevertheless, here I am, and here we are. Something eternal awaits. Let me give you the one who can take you there. And then you go and do his will. God bless you this morning.